Unfulfilled longing. That's what binds together the four characters of The Shape of Things. Adam wants Evelyn, but really wants Jenny. Jenny wants Philip, but really wants Adam. Philip wants Jenny, but maybe wants hate sex with Evelyn. Evelyn wants... well, the movie never really clearly tells us what Evelyn wants, although that's the primary topic of the film.
Only she's forgotten much more than she was lost.
In its way, the largely overlooked The Shape of Things is the ultimate Manic Pixie Dream Girl film. It's certainly in the pantheon with the more successful and very different films Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and 500 Days of Summer, in which Kate Winslet and Zooey Deschanel vie for that dubious crown. There's, of course, Manic Pixie Dream Girls who predate them, like Betty Blue, but the trope didn't really solidify into the dream for self-effacing toxic male heroes until the past 30 years. Rachel Weisz is amazing here, in this far darker shade of gray than those other successful films. Oddly, her second Elvis Costello-heavy movie where she plays a young suburban femme fatale. You know something's awry from her very first scene. You also may tumble for her as quickly as Paul Rudd's schlubby, shapeless hero. Like the movies mentioned before, The Shape of Things is about a young man's transformative journey thanks to a wild, willful young woman who probably just isn't that into him. Like those movies, like all Manic Pixie Dream Girl movies, it's very much a dudes movie made by dudes for dudes. Sometimes that's fine. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope may annoy a lot of people, but it's a phase that most guys actually go through.
My name is Howard!
It's the male equivalent of good girls liking bad boys. It's not healthy, but it's natural nonetheless. Rudd was moderately well known at this point in his career, having done a stellar role in Clueless and lesser but notable roles in successful films like Romeo and Juliet and The Cider House Rules. Weisz was already a bankable star, and Neil LaBute seems to be putting Rudd forward as the next big thing, as he had, in his debut, put forth Aaron Eckhart in The Company of Men, which was the film that drove me to watch this, despite LaBute stumbling a little bit with his sophomore slump, Your Friends and Neighbors. As Kevin Smith said about his own second film,
and the general tone was, we put this guy here with Clerks, and this is the shit that he makes. Fuck these Sundance kids. Like, give him no money, or whatever.
The whole cast, who had starred in the stage play by LaBute, is a bit too old to play MFA students, but hey, if Grease could pull that off, The Shape of Things gets a pass. The film's origins as a stage play are pretty obvious, with only 4 speaking parts and very, very simple location setups around Los Angeles. The beach park is my beloved Point Fearman, where we used to watch Shakespeare in the summertime, which also shows up in The Usual Suspects. Scene breaks are signaled with instrumental snippets from Elvis Costello songs. Costello begins and ends the film. As LA Weekly said 30 years ago, there's nobody you'd rather hear bad news from than Elvis Costello. I'm wading into spoiler territory here, so if you don't want that, go watch the movie. The Shape of Things plot pushes the idea of art for art's sake into its bleakest territory. As art historian and essayist Han Soo-yin is quoted in the film's chilly denouement, moralists have no place in an art gallery. Rachel Weisz's Eve despises moralists, and at the same time is an aesthetic purist, physically attacking whatever she sees as impure in art. Weisz's Eve and Paul Rudd's Adam, yeah, those names are rather on the nose, first met when trying to locate a copy of The Portrait of Dorian Gray at his video store. And that novel begins with, among other things,
the only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless.
Adam is quite useless, or so he feels, and Eve seems to feel so too. For her, he is clay to be molded, which brings us back to the Garden of Eden. In that case, she considers herself God, and her attack on the fig leaves takes on, well, biblical proportions.
They took issue with his thing, the shape of it, said it was too lifelike. I don't like art that isn't true.
True?
Yet Eve's whole campaign is to make Adam less lifelike, more like the false perfect men that she disdains, and she does this entirely by changing the real world through her own falsehoods, with one exception. One night after lovemaking, she whispered something to Adam that the movie will not divulge, but strongly implies. She loves him. If this is true, Eve's art project is an afterthought, a revenge gag on Adam, who has used his new, more attractive self to hook up with his ideal woman, his best friend's fiancée, Jenny. But it was Jenny who actually pursued Adam. He is, for everybody, a tool, which hardly pacifies Eve. She doesn't mind people disagreeing with her methods.
Only indifference is suspect. Only to indifference do I say...
which is almost biblical. I'd rather have you hot or cold, but lukewarm? But she adds,
there is only art
which is exactly Adam's response to her. He feels transformed like Kafka's Gregor Samsa into a gigantic insect. You can pin and mount me like a butterfly, as Morrissey once crooned. Maybe she loved him, but like we love a dog.
I am your spaniel. Use me but as your spaniel.
The Shape of Things pushes art for art's sake to its limits. Artists have done insanely cruel things to themselves, like crucifying themselves onto a VW Beetle or getting sniper shot as an art piece. I'm not going to call those things art, but this movie certainly suggests that there is a line that should not be crossed. Eve crosses it, and there's no way back to paradise once knowledge has been obtained. And that's her point. If still confined to the Garden of Eden, we'd be ignorant and happy. This snake isn't happy, and won't be until everyone else joins her in the fall. As Elvis Costello once sang, "Here we are living in paradise. Have your fun before it moves along, and you're already looking for another fool like me." It's a rough ride, but it's thoroughly worth it.